Good morning. Good morning, and it's not working, is it? Good morning. I don't have a mic.
So like this thing, I don't really like it. I'm gonna have you. I will literally tell you blow, and then you're gonna put that in there. Okay.
Oh, you need to push on it as well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm good. I'm very comfortable.
Good morning, and welcome to the Corning Museum of Glass, and welcome to you watching at home. We are live streaming this event. We have guest artists Nao Yamamoto and Andi Kovel. How about a big round of applause? For those of you who don't know, Nao and Andi were on a series called Blown Away on Netflix. How many of you have seen Blown Away on Netflix? Yay! For those of you who haven't seen Blown Away, you're going to want to go to Netflix and you're going to want to check out a reality glassblowing television show, which is very exciting for us glass makers. We love glassblowing. And what's better than watching glassblowing at home, right? We can watch it here at the museum all day, but we get to watch it at home. So, in this live stream, Andi, now, one of you will be going home at the end of this live stream. I'm only kidding. Guess what? There was supposed to be another glassmaker here, Kat Burns. She already's home, so nobody gets sent home today. That's the great news. Yay! No, I'm only kidding. This is a fun live stream. No one's going home. We're going to be making ornaments, holiday ornaments. So now is up first. We have a featured bench. We have our main bench over here where the glassmakers will work. And so now it's going to have the first half of the live stream. You'll still be able to see Andi in the background. She's going to be over at our assistants bench, which is over on the other side of the shop. But we'll be featuring Now this morning from the first half of the live stream, and then Andi, the second half of the live stream. So here at the museum, shout out any questions you may have for Now or Andi. At home, type it in the chat. Amanda's here on the computer answering questions from home, so we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. And there will be a special guest appearance via the internet from Kat Burns, our local glassmaking artist from the show. So we're excited about that as well. She wasn't able to make it today. I know a lot of people are disappointed about that, but she will make a small appearance. Hi, Dana. Is she watching from home? I thought she was going to come in. She's on her way. Good. My sister, she's a big fan of these two. We were watching the Christmas Blown Away special. Did anyone see the Christmas Blown Away special? Yeah. We were watching, and then we were like, wait a second, they're all coming to the museum. And she's like, I get to meet the glassmakers. So my sister's very excited to meet these two fabulous glass artists. So we're all so excited. So what are you making now?
Making ornaments like with retail side with silver on top.
Okay, we're making ornaments for retail. This is a fun event because not only do you get to watch the glassmakers work and make these ornaments, but you have the opportunity to take one home with you. For those of you who are at home, you also have the opportunity to take one home with you because they are online. You can visit the Corning Museum shops. All the ornaments are online. Now, Kat and Andi all have ornaments on the website here in the shops, so check those out. You're going to want to take one home. Do it quick because they are selling out fast. If you can't find the piece you wanted from them, there's lots of other beautiful, handmade, even locally made glass ornaments. So it looks like she's making a little snow person. So she's gathered some glass. She's rolled through some little shards of glass frit. This is a nice white. We're gonna probably see some of this white fluffy stuff in the next few months. People will be out making snow people. But today, Nao's gonna be making a beautiful glass snow person. They're my favorite kind of snow people because they don't melt. Unless you get them too hot in the oven while you're making them, then they melt, right? Yeah. But if you take one home, and the sun is shining through the window, your glass snow person will be there. Hey, welcome. How you doing? Good. Wasn't expecting to see you in person, usually in the chat. We got some of our... Whoa, there's some glass. Andy's just gathered some glasses. You can feel the heat right behind it. This is the best part. No, I'm not. Don't be sorry. I'm nice and warm. This is the best part about watching these two glass artists, because we usually watch them at home on Netflix. Today, we get to feel the heat. We get to see them in person, watch all the little details. Blown away is great, okay? But let me tell you, they have 4 hours of work mashed up into what? 30 minutes? You don't get to see a lot. Here, you can watch them work the whole time, so it's pretty exciting. We're so excited to have them here at the Corning Museum of Glass for a few days. They were here, they came in on Friday, and now you did your demonstration on Friday, right? Yeah, there's images on our museum's social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that, of the piece Nao made on Friday. And it's a beautiful piece. There's actually a piece in the shops just like it. The piece she made on Friday is in that oven that says, "Do not open." So, I'm gonna follow directions. I'm not gonna open that and show you, but later this afternoon, I think we'll be able to pop it open. Nao said the oven was at 160 degrees. So for an annealing oven, that's when we can start to crack the doors and peek inside. Right, there's the little snowman, snow person. We've got Brad down here on the floor. He's getting some excellent camera angles, detail shots. Hey! Looks like she's gonna add the hat. Look at that hot, gooey glass just drip right on there. This will be the snow person hat. And I believe this is a nice, bright coral red. Yeah. All the different colors are made by adding different metal oxides and salts, and they all look different while they're hot. This one looks red now, but in a few minutes, it's gonna cool, and it's going to look brown. But when it cools off completely, like after we put it into the oven and the do not open sign on the annealer is no longer there, we open it up, this will be a beautiful coral red. So Andy's getting ready to pull some canes. She made some beautiful little rainbow ornaments. And so she's going to be pulling the cane that make the rainbow. So she's prepping for her slot this afternoon. Now it's gonna stretch out that snowman cap. Stretching and stretching. She'll fire polish the little tip. Is anyone seeing glass blowing for the first time? No? Awesome. She's going to grab a little torch to keep the glass hot, the glass that's on the pipe, the part we call the moil. This is the glass that's holding the snow person on the blowpipe. If that glass gets cold and starts to crack and break and pop off, it's the only thing holding this little snow person on the pipe. So we want to make sure that we keep it warm so that it doesn't start popping off and cracking and breaking. So she'll use a torch to keep that nice and warm. So we're not, the girls aren't competing this morning, so there's a little less pressure, but there's still a time constraint. So just like on the show, they were given a certain amount of time and they had to finish their piece in that certain amount of time. Same thing here. We have a short, we'd love to live stream all day long, but we're only going to live stream down here from 10 to 12. And so Now has a little bit of time.
Right?
Andi has a little bit of time. Does it feel nice to be working in the same shop and not competing with each other? That's awesome. It's so nice to see them look over and not think like, oh my gosh, one of us is going home. Who is it going to be? So that was a terrible joke that I played on them this morning, telling them one of them would be going home. Oh, there's the little, look at that, the little poof on the top of the hat. She just cuts it off, then she'll use the tweezers to pinch and pull, making it look fluffy and light when it's actually hard and rigid.
Sorry, I keep doing that to you.
That's the hard thing of making glass look fluffy and light.
I keep cutting in front of you.
But she's using the tweezers and she's pinching and pulling. Doing a nice job. Andi's squaring up the cane here. Michael's helping her out. We also have Tom and Michael. They're helping Andi and Nao out. Yeah, glass making is very much a team effort. So they're the Corning glass makers, as well as myself. I'm Catherine. I can jump in at any point if they need help, but it looks like they're all set. If they need me, they know where to find me. Right over here, in the way. So our little snow person has a hat. And I think she's gonna put this on a big ornament, if I'm not correct. So Nao has some beautiful ornaments in the shop. They have a beautiful luster on them. So they're almost like a pearly. She's got a few pastel colors, and they have this pearly luster on them. They're really gorgeous. Like I said, you can find those right outside the amphitheater today in the shops, or you can find them on the museum's website, Corning Museum Shops. Here's a little social media plug. I highly recommend you follow at Corning Museum Shops, because that's where they're going to post all the fresh new product that we have, because it's coming in. It's selling out so fast that it's coming in like crazy, and we're getting new stuff in the shop all the time. So follow the Corning Museum Shops. It's going to give you all of the new product drops and all our favorite glass items. Nao Yamamoto, you can find her at this Instagram, Facebook, all those little things. Andi Kovel at S Studio. Nao YMMT. So check that out. Follow them on Instagram, because I'm sure these ladies are up to lots of cool things. And it's a fun way to follow them. Look, Nao's drawing on the face of the snow person. This is a process. You might be more familiar with flame working or torch working or lamp working. And so usually the lamp workers, they have a torch and it's set up on a table. The torch points away from them. They use rods of glass in the flame to create little sculptures and things, blown work, lots of cool things. But this is a handheld torch that we can use here in the shop, and a lot of sculptors like to use this, and it's perfect for drawing on faces to anything we make here in the hot shop. And what she'll do is she'll light the torch, and then she'll heat up this little rod of glass or cane, and she can draw on it with the glass. So she heats up the end of the rod. She slipped on a glove. Sometimes we wear gloves, not all the time. When we're turning the pipes, when we're using the tools, gloves can get in the way. It'll be like trying to type an email or play guitar with gloves on. It'd be really difficult and not so helpful. So in this case, she's really close. We found her a very short little cane. Okay? Sometimes the canes come in a nice long cane, but as you use it, it's not like, well, it's like crayons, yeah. But if you can imagine your paper was 2,000 degrees, and your crayon kept getting shorter and shorter. It can be very hot, so she just slips on a glove. The orange pieces of solid glass that I found
Just a flash.
were very short. And so she slipped on a glove. That way she can draw on this beautiful hot little snowman. I don't want you to miss this either. You can watch both if you're here at the museum. Andy's going to pull the cane. So she got it nice and hot. She's going to pull and stretch this so it's nice and long. It's like pulling taffy. Now is drawing the buttons on this snow person. This is so cute.
I'm gonna go get that glass for the base. We want to put the stabilizer on the glass. Overall,
So you can see she wants to leave this a little thicker. She's not going to pull it too far. Sometimes we pull them all the way across the floor here. She's going to just pull this just enough that she gets the right thickness. And this is a little prep work for a little later on the live stream. Andy's going to be making some ornaments. And these are going to be those little rainbow ornaments that you can find in the shops and online. And they are very beautiful little rainbow ornaments. So check those out. What's going on now? She's going to clear some space. She put away the colors for the snowman. Now you've got some powders. Are these the pearly powders? Ooh, oh, she's using a mica powder. So, a little stool? Sure. So, like I was saying earlier, Nao has these beautiful ornaments in the shops. They have this this beautiful pearlescent sheen to them. So she's going to make a large ornament. This is going to be a large ornament. And the snowman is going on this ornament. And so she's put a little bit of that mica powder that's going to give this ornament that pearlescent. You can see the cane they just pulled is really hot still. It's creating a little smoke. Sure. So she's going to roll through, looks like a nice ruby powder, so a nice pink powder. Opaline cupcake. Hot pink. Sorry, your mask. I can't hear you through your mask. Opaline hot pink. Oh, is that the stringer you pulled? No? No, that's a ruby. Saw some pink glass over there. A really beautiful pink. So she's rolling through that powder now. We buy our glass in a form. We buy it in a bar form, a frit form, and a powder form. So this is the powder form, which is going to leave a dusty coat of color, really fine coat of color. If you want sort of a speckly look, we'll use frit. Frit is a little bigger. It's more like a coarse sea salt size, and it goes all the way up to an aquarium gravel size. So it's little shards of glass called frit. Now, if you want this speckly look, like on this snowman here, this would be like a size 3-4 frit. Gives you that speckly look. She wants a nice, even powder look, so she's using a powder glass. So she's just rolling through that nice light pink
Not used to that yet.
or hot pink.
We just leave it on.
Yeah.
And then this beautiful mica powder, which is going to give it sort of a pearl look. And you can find those out in the shops and online. They're gorgeous. Some beautiful pastel ornaments. So there's the mica powder. She's going to roll through the mica powder. This is going to give it that pearly look. You can already start to see it. It's beautiful.
Can you blow just a little bit here?
Her ornaments also have a little bit of a texture to them, and they were dropped into an optic mold. So under the marker here, you can see all the different optic molds. There's a really big optic mold. There's smaller optic molds. There's pineapple molds, which create sort of a pineapple or a diamond facet texture. The one that Nao is going to drop the glass down into is a straight optic mold. So it's going to leave these straight lines, kind of like some of the pieces you see here along the front. So she's going in for a second coat of that really beautiful pearly mica powder. Any questions so far? No? So she's going to get this nice and hot, and then I don't know if she's rolling through more powder. We can build this up in layers depending on how dense we want the color, how much powder we want on there. But
With the hose. Huh? Which one? Which one? Yeah. No, we put it here. Well, you don't need the box.
Can I go into it and then make alcohol?
yes.
Yeah, not supposed to.
What makes each color of glass? That's a great question. Are you familiar with the periodic table of elements? Yes. Metal oxides and salts from the periodic table of elements are what create the different colors. Gold chloride makes a beautiful ruby red. Iron makes green. Manganese makes purple. Cobalt makes a nice dark blue. Cadmium, selenium, they used uranium back in the day. Look, she's going to drop the glass down into a mold. Oops. She's going to start over. That was no good. Tom, you want to blow that one up? Want to see how big you can get it? Let's have a little fun. Tom's going to blow this up, see how big we can get it. We're not blowing glass with our mouths today because we are all wearing masks during this ongoing pandemic. So we're using a new system. It's a blow hose hooked up to some compressed air. And so it's a... ready? Here we go. Watch this. Tom's going to blow up this ornament. People ask us all the time, can you blow it? How big can you blow it? And what happens if you blow too hard? It's blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing and blowing, and eventually it's just going to... It's really thin at this point. She had enough glass for an ornament. It's still going. Oh, look at it. Now it's changing form. And now the only problem is it's super thin. You can poke a hole through it. Look at that. Even though it's super thin, it's still really durable. I know Kat Burns was doing some of this on her Instagram. She was saying how durable her glass is and how she could take these ornaments and not break them. You can see, even though the glass is super thin, it still wasn't breaking. Yeah? Question? Why is glass so durable even though it's so thin? Well, I will tell you, that bubble probably was a little thicker where he was hitting it. And up towards the top, it was a lot thinner. So it was probably just the right thickness where he could tap it and it wouldn't break. Also, it was sort of a round form. If you're familiar with like an egg shape is probably the most durable shape. And so that rounded bottom probably helped with that a little bit as well. All right, she's going to roll through that mica powder. We're starting over. We're making a new ornament. I think she is not used to this blow hose system. This is something that we use here at the museum. But if you have your own private studio, you probably wouldn't use one of these. But since we work with a lot of different people, we have people coming in from all over. Just like we've asked you to wear your masks today, we have been asked to be wearing our masks to keep everyone safe during this busy time of year. We're using this automated inflation system.
I cannot see.
So I thank you for wearing your mask today. It allows us to keep the museum open and make sure everybody gets to still come into the museum and be safe. So she drops the glass down into the mold. He steps on that foot pedal. She fills the mold, and it's got these beautiful optic ribs. Now she's going to puff this up into the ornament. So now she can make the ornament. She can start to blow this up now that we have the ribs in there. She can start to puff this up and make the ornament. She'll use a set of steel tools called jacks to squeeze in a line right off the end. This is going to become the top of the ornament. Whether we're making a paperweight, an ornament, a vase, a bowl, a pitcher, we need this small constriction line to break the glass free. Yeah, but I'm not sure where Reichenbach might have the mica powder. I don't know who makes the mica powder. I'll have to look that up. But you can find it on a lot of the glass color websites. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, this is like the ornaments she has in the shops. This beautiful, pearly, optic ornament. All right, so she's got the ornament. Now we're going to add the snowman is going to be on top of the ornament.
Where does
So this is going to be a special ornament. I'm sure this one will be for sale if it comes out. So the tricky thing is, we put this into a slow cooling annealing oven. If something happens in the annealing oven, the item breaks, you can't sell it. It looks like she's just going to make an ornament. Are you adding the snowman to this one?
Yes.
Yes. So if all goes well with this ornament, it makes it out of the annealing oven.
I can go look for
This one should be for sale here at the museum. All right, we're looking for a little ring, a little vermiculite ring that will hold this ornament. Are you done with this? How many of you like that pearly, opalescent sheen? Yeah. These are really beautiful ornaments. I love these. Yeah. So I'm going to take this for a quick flash while she gets her torch set up. We have to keep glass hot. We can't ever let it fall below 1,000 degrees. If the glass gets too cold, it'll crack and break. So she's heating up these tongs. These tongs are going to allow her to grab hold of the snowman. You're welcome. And stick the snowman on top of the ornament. So Tom's going to make a little
putting it away, like tongs, put it away.
So she's going to break the ornament off here. They'll add the snowman.
Oh, with the.
And then, because it is an ornament, they'll be adding a hook.
Okay, you want me to warm the.
Yeah.
So things are going to start to come together here. The snowman is in the garage. The garage is an oven that keeps the glass nice and hot, so over 1,000 degrees, while she made the ornament. So you saw her make the snowman. She's then going to, she already put the snowman in the garage, and now she'll come out, bring the snowman out of the garage, warm it back up to over 1,000, or well over 1,000 degrees. That way she can stick the two together, put a hook on the top, and voila, we have a snowman on an ornament. I really love that mica powder. It's so pretty. Looks like a little pearl. All right, Tom's got the snowman. He's gonna cool off the pipe a little bit. Because it was in the garage, the pipe does get a little warm. And then remember, she heated up those claw-like tongs. She's gonna grab a hold of the snow person with these tongs.
Going from the garage to the hole is never going to keep a point.
Stick the two together.
You know,
Yeah, you're right.
it's so cold and then
But I didn't want it to drown, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
still colder, so like that's
Yeah.
gonna be fine. Okay, so I'm gonna go knock it off next.
Sounds good.
I'm
I'll
gonna
do a
flash and I'm gonna beam it. I want you to have the tweezer with the arrival share, so
Yeah.
you knock it off, okay?
sounds good.
Alright, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do a short one.
So she's gonna tap off that ornament. She's going to grab the hot tongs. She's gonna warm up the ornament. I think we might be running out of oxygen. All right, we're gonna check the oxygen.
Yeah, they were all in the way.
We're gonna put the snowman back in the garage. Take 3 on the ornament. Yeah, I think it's out. There's a little bit left. We're gonna have to work with what we got. So we may have to add a glue bit or something. All right, so we're gonna make another ornament. Once you tap it off, she tapped it off, we couldn't get the torches working. You can't keep it hot enough with just the torches. You have to be able to go back in and out of the reheating oven. So, here's your challenge now. We have no oxygen tank, so we have to attach this snowman without using the hot torch. So she's gonna shape this up, hook up the blow hose, start a bubble by stepping on this little foot pedal. It's about 2 pounds of pressure. It's not enough, not a lot of pressure. It's like enough pressure to blow out a candle, and that's about it. All right. Yes, question?
So, since you're using local press air, do you have to change anything on the edge of the company to allow the air to go in?
With the blow hose? No, we didn't. It's no, yeah, it's kind of like a rubber silicone fit, And we used to use, we had these way before this pandemic and before they have a blow hose system you can hook up to the pipe. So like when I used to make ornaments years ago, when I used to make ornaments, I would have a blow hose and a nozzle that went in my mouth, and I would blow through and that way I could inflate the ornament while someone was starting the next one. This is the same thing, but instead of hooking it up to instead of putting it in my mouth, we've hooked it up to some compressed air. And we didn't just hook it up to compressed air, it's got a whole system on it, so it's very much like blowing with your mouth. So the valve doesn't close. If the valve closed, we wouldn't ever be able to take that hose, we wouldn't be able to leave the hose on because it would trap the air inside, and when she heated, it would blow up the ornament. So this is nice, when the compressed air isn't blowing through the pipe, air can go through the whole system. And so it's just like taking your mouth off the pipe. There's no inflation that will happen. So it's a very special system that our technicians developed and we use, and it's just like blowing, except for we don't put our mouth on the end of the pipe. But yeah, it's just a little nozzle that just sticks to the end of the blowpipe. We didn't have to modify the blowpipe. We didn't have to do anything except for buy a few of these little nozzles for small, medium, and large for all of our different blowpipes. Yeah. And the only trouble is the hose system, getting tangled in the hose. Glassmakers have to work very fast. And so the only trouble that we have with this little hose system is getting tangled in it. Or sometimes the nozzle pops off. So things we didn't used to have to deal with. We never got tangled in anything when we were blowing through the pipe, and our mouth never fell off the end of the pipe. So new challenges, which I'll hand it to Nao and Andi. We have been using the system. We got, a whole year. We've been working with this system for a whole year. They've kind of been thrown into this, and they're using it for the first time now. And it does take a little to get used to. But everything is going well. No problems. All right, so she hops up, drops it in the mold. For those of you who missed it, guess what? You get to see it again. This is what we're here to demonstrate is ornaments. So now we've made 3. So that's good. So you get to see this ornament process over and over and over again, which is great. So there is our 3rd ornament. And you could see if we were working production, she could make a ton of these ornaments. Now, she's making these ornaments in a very short period of time. The only reason she's able to do that is now you've been working with glass for how many years?
13 years.
13 years. She can make an ornament in 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought you said how many years. No, I can
Yeah.
do an ornament in 5 minutes.
No, I did ask you how many years. So she can make an ornament in, what did you say, 10 minutes?
I can make like a
5 minutes.
this one in 5 minutes.
She can make an ornament. The only reason she's able to make an ornament in 5 minutes is because she's been blowing glass before. Now I forgot that number, 13 years. 13 years?
Go again.
So, when she makes an ornament in 5 minutes, she doesn't make an ornament in 5 minutes, she makes an ornament in 13 years in 5 minutes. Because you need that experience, that 13 years of experience to be able to work so quickly, apply the color, move around with this hot gooey material, and make an ornament out of it. And the only reason she's able to do that in 5 minutes is because of the 13 years of experience. So when you buy handmade glass, it is very expensive because of the experience. In about 6 years, you could probably make a good ornament. It's probably going to hold the tree down and act as like a weight. Being able to make a nice, thin ornament takes years. Yeah, Amanda was just saying that all of her ornaments, Amanda is a part of our media marketing team, and she takes glassblowing classes after work, and she said all of her ornaments hold the tree down. But they're handmade and they're special. All right, what can I do for you? Heat these up. So, to be able to make a nice thin ornament takes years. It takes about 13 years to make a nice round ornament, too. Your very first ornaments as beginner glassmakers are like egg-shaped, and not a nice egg shape, like a wonky egg shape. All right, so they're gonna start heating up the snow person. And we're gonna try one more time to stick this together. He takes it out of the garage. That's what's nice about having a garage, is you can just put the glass in there and keep it warm. Otherwise, you'd have to keep going in and out of the hole, keeping everything warm. Okay.
We got it.
All right, she's gonna tap this ornament off. Tom's ready. The tongs are hot. We'll do a quick trade. She's gonna light the torch, get the ornament nice and hot. Tom's coming over with the snowman. He's gonna cool the jackline. She'll grab a hold of him by the neck. Light tap, it pops right off. They'll stick the two together, and the hat is the hook. What do you think? A beautiful, snowman ornament into the box. That is Nao Yamamoto, everyone! Yay! Beautiful. I think we're gonna get a guest appearance from Kat Burns shortly. Stay tuned. They're ready. Kat, where are you? There she is.
Guys, morning. Really weird seeing myself on a delay here.
Hi, Kat.
I can't hear anything you guys are saying.
Oh, well, we hope you're doing well.
Don't start and say, awesome job now, that looked great. I hope you all had super You would start me.
Kat Burns, everyone! Well, we miss you, Kat.
Oh.
Your nutcrackers are beautiful. Look at all those nutcrackers. Wow. That's just some of them. Nice. As you know, on the Blown Away Christmas special, Kat made a nutcracker. And so check that out. And she talked about her collection of nutcrackers, and that is impressive. That is a beautiful nutcracker collection. We miss you, Kat. We wish you were here in the shops.
Miss you guys. Love you.
We'll see you soon. Yes, Kat's going to be chatting. Is she chatting? Is she chatting online? Yeah, so if you have questions for Kat, you want to talk to Kat, drop it in the chat. She's watching from home. Yay, Kat. All right, so now, how did that go? It was a little stressful, but you work well under pressure. Yeah? Being a glass artist, it's tricky. You gotta work fast. You see what happens when you work fast. Things kind of get a little crazy and hectic. So glassmakers are used to working under pressure. We can't say, this is not going well, I'm going to leave this, go grab something to eat or drink, relax a little bit, and then come back. You can't really do that because you have to keep everything hot. And so for glass artists, working under a little pressure is part of the process. And so you get a little bit more pressure when you're, there's risk of being sent home from the competition. So these glass artists are used to the pressure. But now you've got one piece in the oven, so you can relax. Yeah. What you making now? A bigger ornament's nice. Yeah, she gathered a bigger pipe. She picked up a bigger pipe. She's had an ornament pipe earlier, which is a smaller pipe. It's a little lighter. This one's a little heavier. This is our standard workhorse, we call it. And so she's gathered on a bigger pipe, so this is going to allow her to make a bigger ornament. So it looks like she's rolling, this is a blue? Dark Night Opaline. Nice. Do you have a different mica powder? A blue mica powder. Green shimmer and pink shimmer. So for probably the cooler tones, she'll use the green shimmer. For the warmer tones, she'll use the pink shimmer. You can apply lots of different coats of these mica powders are nice, and you can use gold leaf. There's lots of different ways to add different metallic sheens to the surface. You could use reducing colors. You could fume the glass. That's kind of toxic, so you have to have a special setup. You know, that fumed glass that has that rainbow sort of gasoline spill coat that they used to use. They don't use it a lot anymore because it's toxic. So if you have a special setup, you can do that, but a lot of glass artists are not using that as much. So Nao's going to start another ornament. Any questions? Yeah. Yes. So once you start adding the different metal oxides to the clear glass, you're going to change how the glass moves. So there are soft colors and stiff colors. And then there are very stiff colors. So depending on what you want to do, you want to pick colors that work well. If you're using multiple colors together, you want to try to pick colors that all kind of heat up the same and work a little bit the same. But yes, blacks and whites, very difficult to work with. Makes very stunning color combination, but black tends to be very soft, very, very soft. White tends to be very, very stiff. It's kind of like if you wear a black t-shirt or a white t-shirt on a hot day, the white t-shirt is going to reflect the heat. You'll stay cooler, whereas the black t-shirt will absorb the heat and you will not stay cooler, you will get very warm. Same thing with our glass color. Now the color companies have made colors. They've made a stiff black. So if you were making a black and white piece like a penguin or something, you might want to choose a stiff black and just the regular white. Or a soft white. They make a soft white as well. And so as glass artists, we know this and we can pick those colors accordingly. As beginner glass makers, we always like to start off in clear because the glass blowing process is so difficult that you don't want to add challenge to learning the process. So you start off with clear. Then you make a few pieces nice and clear. You think you got the glass blowing process under wraps, everything is going well, and you say, I'm going to add some color. And it's like you started over from day one. The color, you can't see the bubble sometimes. You don't know if you have a bubble in there. You don't know how even your bubble went in. The color is soft, the color is stiff. Everything feels different. And so as beginner glass makers, we like to start off with a nice foundation of clear, then start slowly adding color a little at a time. So yes, the colors do affect how the glass moves in a very different way. Yeah?
All right, ready?
Yep.
Yeah, so the question is this beautiful vase here. And actually, Tom made this beautiful vase. Tom, who's helping now blow glass, made this vase. And what he did, you saw Andy pull the cane here with the stripes and the rods in the glass. So Tom did a similar thing where he pulled cane that had pulled cane that had multiple canes in them, and then started to pull and twist it. And then laid that on a bubble. So first he applied the red and then black over top of it, and then the final step would be to apply that cane bit on the outside. So yeah, a lot of prep work. Pulling the cane once, then chopping that up, picking up the canes together, pulling that, and twisting it, and then making a blob out of it and adding it to the surface of the glass. So yeah, it's a process called cane. Reds are hard to make. So the question from home is reds are hard to make. This is a ruby red. This is the red that's made with gold. It's a ruby red. It's almost cranberry. A real rich red color is hard to make just because of the properties of whatever they add to it. Sometimes it turns brown. And so making a really rich red is hard to find. But there are color companies that have nailed it. But yes, red glass it's rare because it's a hard color to make. But this is what's made with gold. Gold ruby. It's not really a rich red. It's a gold ruby, we call it. Yeah? A little louder if you could. All right, there's our second ornament. This is that beautiful blue. You can get a nice view of that pearlescent coat. That's really nice. Got a really nice up-close shot. And they're making the ornament loop. So sometimes you buy ornaments from the store, they have like a metal loop. Handmade glass ornaments have a beautiful handmade loop, hand-pulled loop. What do you think? Yeah. So our question was, do they ever blow the glass big enough that it can't fit into the reheating oven? Yes. Not usually. Because, I'll give you the... Yay! Nao Yamamoto! Ornaments in the oven. Those ornaments are for sale in the shops online as well as here at the museum. So at home, log in. Buy a few Christmas gifts because they are lovely Christmas gifts from your favorite blown away star, Nao Yamamoto. They're all your favorite. Andi, Kat. We have all our favorite blown away guest artists. Okay, back to your question. So we have these reheating ovens. They're called glory holes. They're for reheating the glass. And we have a jumbo one over here. This is a very large one. You can only make a piece as big as your reheating oven. So you have to keep that in mind. You can make a piece that's bigger than the reheating oven, but it has to be made big on the very last step. Because you know you can't go back into the oven. If you watched did you watch the first Blown Away? Yep, there was a glass artist, Deborah Terezko, and her gaffer made the egg too big. Did you see that? And we couldn't go back in the hole and we smashed it up. And they asked me, or they asked the team, but for some reason they showed me saying no. She said, is there anything we can save? And I said, no. Start over. Yeah. I said, no, this is broken glass. Start over. And what happened there was, in that show, as we come in as assistants on the final episode, so the Corning Museum of Glass goes up to help the glass artists on the final episode, and we don't work in the shop. We're just kind of thrown into the shop, and we don't get to practice. We don't get to get used to the shop. Just like the glass artists that are coming in on that first day on the reality show, they don't have they're working in a new shop, so that's a challenge. It's like working in a kitchen. If you're not used to your kitchen, you go to somebody else's house and cook. The whole kitchen's different. So you have to get used to that. So what happened was we went in and she said, I want a really big egg, as big as we can make it. Well, we didn't open up all the doors. Sometimes when you open up the doors, the hole gets a little bit bigger. The glory hole on that show didn't get much bigger. We opened the doors and it was still kind of the same size because it was only one door. So we weren't familiar with the equipment and we couldn't reheat it. We couldn't go back in the hole, and so the egg started to pop apart. So yes, you can make a piece too big. But if it's your own shop, you know how big the hole is, and you know how big of a piece you can make. But yes, sometimes if you're in the process working, things get a little too big. You have to keep in mind. And maybe we can pop open those doors real quick to see how big that hole can actually get at some point. All right, so she's making another ornament. We're making some ornament production.
Have it blow a little bit?
Andi and Nao are here making their ornaments. So you can see how ornaments are made, and those ornaments can be purchased for sale. Look at that beautiful mica green powder. I think she has a pink, a blue, a green, and maybe a purple selection. Yeah, blue. You can see the rings when she's in this reheating oven. That's a view from the back of that oven. There's a camera not inside the oven, but right behind the oven. There's a little window of a special type of glass. There's a piece of glass in a glass melting oven. But the glass has a higher melting temperature than our oven will ever get to. It's a type of glass that was developed here in Corning in the 30s. It's called fused silica, and it was the glass used for the space shuttle's windshield. To get those beautiful lines in the ornament, Nao drops the glass down into a straight optic mold. The lines and the ribs are straight, so this is a straight optic ornament. She could grab a hold of the end and twist the optics. We call that a twisted optic. Yep. All of it. Glass is, reusable. Now, how we reuse it is different every time. If we add the color, we have to recycle it in a different way. Like we could save it and melt a darker color over top of it. Any glass that is clean and clear can go right back into the furnace and we can make more glass out of it again tomorrow. But yes, some of it, it's all recyclable, but some of it gets recycled in a different way. Any other questions? Yeah. Yep. No. Yes, so when we pull cane, she pulled it and she left it out in the oven, and all I've been doing all morning is telling you that we have to reheat the glass and we can't leave it out in the room temperature air for too long, right? That's all I've been saying. And what she did, she left it on the room temperature air. That glass is pulled and it's nice and even. So what happens is the glass starts to cool. The thicker areas start to cool faster than the thinner areas, and it creates stress in the glass. Now, if we pull it and it's all pretty much the same thickness, we can leave it out for a period of time. Now, that glass that she left out is unannealed, and if we don't anneal it, so we would never want to give that to someone as something to display in their house. We would want to, if she wanted to keep that as a final product, it would have gone right into the annealing oven and cooled slowly. But because that is a product that we're going to be using, we're going to be picking it up, heating it up again, and shaping it into the piece, we didn't have to anneal that. And like I said, because it was all an even thickness, it's going to cool relatively at the same rate. So there's not an area that's going to be cooling faster than the other. And so because we know that she's going to pick that up again, shape it and form it, and then anneal it, it's not a problem. If it was any thicker than what she pulled, it would have to be annealed, because there is a certain point where anything that's real thick can't be left out here in the room temperature air. Pulling cane, it's relatively thin and all pretty much the same kind of thickness. We can leave that out in the room temperature air for a short period of time. All right, we're going to switch off here. Andi is going to join us over on the main bench, and Nao is going to continue to make ornaments that we will put up in the shop and online over here on the assistants bench. So this is a good time. Once they finish their little chat, she grabs all her tools. We will give her a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Andi Kovel. So glassmakers have all their favorite tools, and so it looks like the girls brought some of their own tools that they knew they might need. It's like a barber or a chef. You want to bring all your tools with you. The Corning Museum of Glass, we have a lot of nice tools here, but I don't know if they, sometimes if you've never been here or never worked in our shop, you don't know the extensive tools that we have, and so it's just safe to bring your own. That way you're familiar with all your tools. The only thing you have to get used to is the shop and the assistants. And they're used to that. They got a different assistant every episode in the show, and so they're used to working with a lot of people, and as glassmakers, we're used to working with a lot of different people as well. And so, let's go have a little chat with Andi, see what she's going to make. She's gonna gather some glass from our furnace. So Andy, what do you have planned for us?
You know what?
What?
We're going to start with some rainbows,
Okay,
and then we're going to make a cloud, like the cloud ornaments I got, but we're going to do a big, bigger one,
okay.
and a smiley face on it.
Yay!
But everything will look, it'll all be ornaments.
They'll all be ornaments. Okay, so what she's going to make, she's gonna start off with the rainbow ornaments. She also has a nice little cloud. Now that cloud ornament that you have in the shops, is that a mold blown?
You know,
Or
I made my own mold. I've got a piece of graphite, and I made graphite pegs,
How cool.
and I put it in there
And
flatten
flatten it.
all up.
Nice.
So here I'm going to do it with a fork and hand tools, because I don't
Yep,
have a mold.
right. All right, so she's got some little cloud ornaments in the shops for sale, so you can check those out. And I noticed they have like, they're not like square, but they're not round. They have, it's like a flattened cloud with like some flat edges. And I asked her, did you have a mold for that? Sometimes you can blow into them, you can make your own custom mold and blow into it. But she said it's a piece of graphite with pegs. And she drops the bubble in there and then squishes it into the pegs, giving her the cloud form. So really neat. But she didn't bring that with her, so she's going to be making a cloud in this live stream, but it will be all hot sculpted. So she's going to use a tool called a tagliole to cut the cloud shape in. But we'll start off with some rainbows. So the cane she pulled earlier, when Nao was working, is a flattened cane, so it's like a ribbon cane. And she picked up the rainbow colors, so she's got some red, oranges, yellows, greens, blues. Right now she's dusting it off. It was on a shelf that had a little bit of kiln wash on it. Sometimes the glass picks up a little bit of that dust, so she was just using a corn husk brush to brush that off.
I think I gotta pull the hook up a little longer before.
So, yes, question?
Yeah. If you see any pointers, let me know.
Say it again?
Maybe a map now.
The Phoenicians, not the Venetians from Venice, but the Phoenicians, which is the modern day Syria, Iraq, Iran. They discovered glass, the Phoenicians. And they made little core-form, about 4,000 years ago, core-form vessels, little beads and things. So they weren't blowing glass back then. And then about 2,500 years ago, the Romans started blowing glass in this process. So if you come to the museum and they say, oh, I want to see a Roman glass blowing process, there it is. This is how it's been done. A little differently. They used to, roll the pipe in their lap. They strapped little rails to their little wooden slats to their lap, rolled it in their lap. They probably didn't have all the torches and the shears and the tweezers and all that, but they had tools just like the jacks that you've seen us using. Those were found in old glassmaking sites in Mesopotamia. But yes, the Romans were the first to blow glass. How glass was discovered? That's up in the air. There's a few myths, but we don't know for sure. And the very first glassmaker that we know of, his name was Enyan. And we know this because they found a piece, and there might have been glassmakers before Enyan, but we don't know. They never signed it. Enyan was the first to sign the work, and there was a little bowl, or a little cup, and it said, in the mold was carved, made by Enyan. So that's the first glassmaker that we know of, Enyan.
Like there's gas in her oxygen there.
Yeah, we got pressure again.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how much there is. I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good for now.
Yeah, it's good to know. It's good to know for later.
In the oven?
I might
So if we drop a big blob of molten glass in the oven, there is a thin layer of sand in the bottom of the oven. Sometimes we can stick a pipe in there and gather it out, take it out right away, which is what we try to do, get it out of there before it melts into the big blob. But if not, it'll just melt into a big blob. Tomorrow morning, when this oven is cold, we'll just take that big blob out, and it's laying in the sand, so it doesn't affect the... Oh, there's the little rainbow. Did you see that? She just bent the little rainbow. There is our first... I think she's going to do it again. Don't worry. We're going to make lots of ornaments because these are selling
left.
really well, and so she'll probably try to make as many of these as she can. So like I said, this was the piece that was laid out here. It's now being heated up again. And then this piece is what's going to go into the annealer to slowly cool and remove all the stress. Yeah. How did she make the layers and the rainbow? So she pulled cane. So this whole process started, way before this whole demo. She had to pull the rods of cane. Trying to see if I could find some. So first, she had to make the cane. So what she did is she picked up a bar of color. Well, many bars of color because... That's okay. Here's some. So we pull the cane. So we pick up a bar of color. So we buy the color in a bar form from the color company that makes it. You might have seen this on the show Blown Away. They have that, they say, glassmakers, go get your colors. And they all run over there and they fight over the colors. And it's a mad rush to get the color you want. So you start off with this bar of color. Heat this up so it's hot and gooey, but keep it in sort of this form. Gather a few layers of clear over top of it. The clear layers will create the spaces. And then you have like a coffee can size gather of glass. They stick the two together, stretch it along the thing till it becomes like a marker size or a pencil size, depending on how thick you want. They're gonna add the little hook here, watch this. Sticks it on. See that hot gooey glass? It stretches like taffy or honey. She cuts it to a point, grabs a hold of it, and this will be the beautiful hook on our handmade rainbow ornament. Tricky. Loops it around, and there we go. A beautiful hook on a beautiful ornament. Yay! You've seen it made, now you're thinking, how do I get my hands on one of those? You can head out to the shops, you can get online. Ornaments make perfect gifts, especially these ornaments. They're not very seasonal, so you can, display them. They're perfect sun catchers. Hang them on the wall, hang them on a little hook stand, hang them in the window. Glass loves light. Hang them in the window. So this is a perfect gift for anyone or yourself. You deserve it. You work hard. Yeah? Does Blown Away have any trouble finding contestants? I don't think so. No. I think there's a lot of glass makers in the world, and there's a lot of glass makers with interesting personalities. So I don't think they'll ever have trouble finding contestants for a glass blowing reality show.
Screwed it up. One more heat. I was going in it, and then I went like more.
Hey, Sandra, there's Tom's wife coming in to visit. Yeah, go to a glass blowing conference. The Glass Art Society puts on a conference. They throw a big party. Glassmakers are always really fun, wild people.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, here's the ornament. They're gonna put it on a little metal tray. They're gonna add a few drops of cold water to the punty, and then with a light tap, this will pop right off. They'll probably fire polish the edge, because that is a sharp spot. Broken glass, even though it is hot, it's still hot and sharp. They're gonna fire polish the sharp edges away, and then this will go into our slow cooling oven. And tomorrow morning, we'll put it out on the shelves, and one of you can take it home. Yeah? Yeah, Andi Kovel. Yeah, there's no certification to become a glass artist. There are the masters or the maestros. and that's just a term that your peers and colleagues will give you. So when we refer to, I would call these girls master glassmakers, but the masters, Lino Tagliopietra, Dale Chihuly, all the glassmakers who have been working with glass for 30 plus years and a lifetime. Because really, to master this process takes a lifetime. I would say, we've all been blowing on the shop floor. I don't think there's any of us that have less than 15 years of experience. And I would say we're all still learning and will be learning for the next 20, 30 years, because it's really hard to master a technique that people have been doing for 4,000 years. If you take one walk through that 35 centuries of glass, you think you've come up with a brand new idea in glass? Take one walk through that 35 centuries of glass. They did it 2,000 years ago. That color pattern, that shape, that technique. It's really hard to come up with a new technique in glass. Yeah, so you can go to school. A lot of glass artists nowadays, there's not a lot of factories that you can apprentice in. So a lot of glassmakers nowadays are learning in university programs or finding a studio to work out of. That's a good question. Nao's going to put another ornament in the box. Stock the shelves. We must stock the shelves. Our question was, do glassmakers ever have a hard time getting rid of a piece or selling it? I'm going to say 95% of the time, a glassmaker has no problem selling glass. They have no problem saying, you want to give me money for this piece I made? No problem. Sometimes it might be sentimental. There is that small window. There are certain pieces you will not give away, you will not sell. So let's say it's a really sentimental piece. You might sell it for some outrageous price, and people will be like, why is it so much? That's a piece that means a lot to me. If you want to buy that, this is how much I need for it. So yes, there are sentimental pieces, but I would say glassmaking is an expensive process. You either have to have your own shop that has to be running 24 hours a day, that furnace never gets shut off. So just to run a studio is it's not like ceramics. You don't have to, you have some kilns, and mud is not very expensive. You don't need someone to help you make a ceramic bowl. So here you can see you got to pay your assistant. You've got to keep this furnace running. It's a very expensive process. And so a lot of times glassmakers, there are probably a few glassmakers that don't care if they ever sell a piece, but I think most of the time glassmakers are happy when someone wants to give them money for the pieces they make. Yes. Because it costs so much to make it. If we could just make it, at home, or make it really easily, and it wouldn't be so expensive to make. So a lot of times you have to find something that will sell to make the pieces that you want to make that don't necessarily sell, or your artwork, the pieces that feed your soul. So sometimes you just have to make a piece that will make you money, that will become your income, and then you can make your artwork that won't sell every day, or that you don't even want to sell. You just want to make it for yourself. But yes. Back to the cane. First, you start off with the bar of color. You add the clear layers. You stretch the cane along the front of the stage. That becomes something we call filigrana. The color, the clear on the outside. So it's just straight cane. Then you can take those canes, you can roll them up on a vessel and make a piece with stripes, little lines of cane. Or you can pick up those little lanes of cane and pull another cane with them. So that's what Andi did. She picked up 5 or 6 colors of the rainbow, pulled the cane, and then set them all together on a pastorelli, or a plate, a kiln shelf, and fused them together to make these stripes and the rainbow. And when she fused them together, because it has those clear, the clear outer layer over the color, it does leave a little space. So when if you go into the shops, check out these little rainbow ornaments. You can see the little lines of color are just floating in the clear glass.
Yeah, the jumper.
They're beautiful.
I'm worried that I'm doing more weird things in the mountain now because people
That's
see
Tom's
me.
son.
Yeah, I know.
That's my fear.
He wants to come in the hot shop. Dad, bring him into the hot shop. Find some baby safety glasses. Bring him into the hot shop. It won't be long, I'm sure. I'm sure Tom will have him in the hot shop once he's old enough. All right, there's the bend on the other ornament. Another beautiful rainbow. So she said she's going to be making a bunch of these rainbow ornaments, and then a little later on in the live stream for the sort of a bigger ornament, she's going to make one of the clouds and draw a little face on it. So she'll be making some clouds and rainbows for this live stream. Yeah, so she's already got a lot of work into this ornament. She pulled all the colors of cane, pulled the rainbow cane, and now she's assembling the rainbows. She could even pick up those canes and make a vessel out of it. If you saw the piece that Andi did for the Christmas episode, the Christmas special on Netflix, it was one of my favorite pieces from that special, and it was a beautiful piece. It had some canes in it, some like swirling canes and candy colors, and beautiful piece. I have to say I was very disappointed that she went home for that. That was my favorite piece. Yes?
And I'll have you straighten it out.
Yes. So there's jacks.
It's like the wrong way. It's like this one.
These are the jacks. This is the tool. This is like, if you had your toolbox, this is your hammer. This is the tool you want, or the screwdriver, whatever. I don't know which was more popular, Phillips head or straight, or flat. This is your hammer. This is your screw. This is the tool you want in your toolbox, or your shears. I think the shears are second because you want a nice, sharp pair of shears. We have there are multiple tool makers that make jacks. There's Carlo Donna in Venice, Maruko jacks. I believe they're made in Japan. Jim Moore out in, I believe, I can't remember, but
Okay, come on.
lots of tool makers that make jacks.
Okay.
If you are making cups, goblets, you're gonna want a jack with very thin blades because the cup walls of a goblet are very thin. If you use a big set of jacks, it's gonna suck a lot of heat out of the glass and you're not gonna be able to make it as quick. If you're making a really large piece, you're gonna want a big set of jacks. You don't wanna make a big, huge, solid piece of glass with
All right. I might do my best again.
the small ornament jacks, which I think Andi has on the bench. So it depends on what you're making. Like it would be ridiculous to make an ornament with these jumbo jacks. They would cool the glass too much. It would be ridiculous to make a really large piece with these teeny tiny jacks because your arm would be so close to the piece that your arm would start burning. So depending on what you're making, you want to bring your own jacks. Now, when you come into a public access studio, beginners are working in that studio, they might abuse the shears. So they might cut cold glass with the shears. Just because it's something as beginners, it happens everywhere. Like when I was in school at university studying glassmaking, the first tool I bought were shears because all the shears that were shop tools in college were so dull you couldn't cut the glass. So I bought my first pair of tools with some really nice sharp shears. All right, there's the second. No, there's a few in here. One more of the rainbow ornaments into the oven for slow cooling and safekeeping. Yay, another ornament. So I would say, tweezers, they're pretty standard, but you're gonna want if it's really important, you want your jacks, you want a nice sharp set of shears. What else? All of it. So and then the different tools. Some people like Carlo Dono jacks, some people like the Maruko jacks. It feels different in your hand. The spring is a little different. Like these are very easy to squeeze, these are hard to squeeze. Every tool is gonna it's more of like the feel in your hand, the thickness of the blade, the sharpness of the shears, all that. Yep. What? The question was, when glassmakers come and they have their own set of tools, when you have like a chef has different knives, they're made of different metal, different things like that. So why you would want to bring your own shears, and if there are tools that are different, and why you would want to choose or bring your own, or what's different about them. So yes, there's like a small handful of tool makers in the world, and they all feel a little different in your hand, they all work a little different, and they all have different blades. There's tools all over this bench, and so we have lots of tools for different things.
It's a real flatness.
All right, she's showing Michael the sketch for the cloud. So she says we're gonna flatten it.
And then I'll push it in a couple
There's the
spots.
sketch.
And we'll do the little eyes.
She's gonna draw on the face. It's always important to show the team what you want to make, so we're not guessing along the way. As long as the whole team, they know what's happening, they know what we want to make, we can help you get there. If we have no idea what you want to make,
Put the rainbow map.
it's really hard for us to help you get where you want to go with the final piece. So he just kind of showed, she showed Michael what she wants to do. Michael said, yep, we got it, and they'll make this piece together. So this is going to be one of the cloud ornaments. It might be a little bigger than the ornaments. They've been making some bigger ornaments. Nao's in ornament production, so she's making many of these ornamams as we continue on hosting Yao Yamamoto, Andi Kovel, who are our guest artists from the Blown Away series on Netflix, here visiting us, doing an ornament special. Yeah? How many days did it take to film one episode? I think on average it took like 2 or 3 days to film one episode.
Each episode was 3 days.
3 days. So you had your hot shop day, then so all the glass has to go into ovens to cool overnight, right? So they couldn't finish, here's my finished piece, put it on a pedestal, the pedestal would catch on fire and the glass would break. So they had to let it cool. The next day they'd come in, they would cold work, so remove any sharp spots, do any things that they needed to do, install, and then probably another day for filming the interviews. Yeah. So 3 days of filming for one episode. Yes. The question was, is the glass formula different when working with lead crystal? We're using a soda lime glass today. It's what most glass makers use. It's just your average glass, silica, soda ash, and limestone. These windows are soda lime glass, pickle jars, bottles, maybe the lenses in your glasses. It's a very common glass.
I don't know, whatever.
Soda lime glass. Now when you want to make leaded crystal, you add, instead of that limestone ingredient, you add lead or barium. The lead and the barium give the glass a more crystalline structure. So not a crystal structure, but more like crystal. It gives the glass a high light refractive index, so it sparkles and shines. Our glass is very close to crystal without the lead. It is premium. They don't even make it anymore. Premium. It's called premium. It was made by Spectrum System 96 Premium 2.0. We only have a little bit left. They're not making it anymore. But you could take our soda lime glass and hold it next to crystal. And it's a very clear glass. It's a very nice glass for working. So you could put this soda lime goblet next to a piece of crystal and you wouldn't see a color difference. If I put this next to this soda lime window, you see the blue tint and the clear soda lime glass. Our formula for glass is very close to crystal. But yes, when you add the lead or the barium, you work it in the same way. You blow it, you gather it, all that. It's all the same. It's a little softer, but it has that high light refractive index, so you'll get that really nice sparkle, and all that catches the light a little differently. But more importantly, it's soft to cut through. So when you make cut crystal, you want to use lead or barium-based glass because it's soft to cut through. Cutting through glass is very hard. It takes a little longer to make the cuts, whereas crystal is like just cutting through nice soft glass. And you want to make cut crystal. So that was, I think, a question from online. Looks like she's going to switch up colors. What's that? Little Tommy wants to get on the glass blowing floor. He's not happy watching Dad from the sidelines. He wants in on the glass blowing action. That's a nice big gather. She's got the white layer for the cloud on the inside. So she started with a color overlay. And now she's got a few gathers of that hot, gooey clear over top of it. Now she's going to start blowing this. So this is going to be, I know from the size, the glass that she has there, the size of the pipe, this is going to be a nice big cloud. Not this, more like this. Nice big cloud. She uses a wooden block to shape and cool the glass. These wooden blocks are carved from blocks of cherry wood. You don't see this a lot on the show. You don't see it at all on the show because the Blown Away set did not have blocks. You had to use the marver or paper. And so each set of benches needs blocks, and they come in all different sizes, and I think they just thought, who needs them? You can't buy all those tools. You don't need them. You don't need blocks. You certainly don't need them. It's nice to have them. Hey, Tommy. Future glassmaker, I'm sure. Oh, you're working on pink now. All right, so we've got some blue, we've got some green. Now it's time to work on some pink. So you can see the different size in the pipe, different size gather. If she wants to make a really light, thin ornament, you need just a little gather. Andy's making a larger ornament because we're doing a nice live stream. This is going to be an ornament. This is going to be on a larger scale. So she's got a lot more glass, bigger pipe. And she'll start to shape this up. Any questions for anybody? Yeah.
Make sure to get a nice tight little neckline in there.
That glob of glass, what do you say? How much do you think this weighs? 4 pounds. The pipe itself? Yep. The pipe weighs about 5 to 8 pounds. The glass is about 4 pounds. Now imagine you pick up that much weight and you hold it close to your, it's like imagine picking up a bowling ball. Pick up a bowling ball, you hold it close to your center of gravity. Not so heavy. Now imagine you have to hold the bowling ball with your arm out like this. It's gonna feel a lot heavier. The glass on the pipe feels a lot heavier. I can work. There's been multiple times you come in, we make a really big piece one day, and you come, you open the annealer doors, and you go to lift the piece, and you like brace yourself, and you go to lift the piece, it just kind of flies over your head because it's lighter than you remember. It feels a lot lighter when it's not on the pipe, when you can hold it in your hands, you don't have to keep it turning, it's not moving around on its own. So on the pipe, it's going to feel a lot heavier, especially because it's moving and you're holding it away from your center of gravity. Here she's using the local newspaper, folded up, soaked in water, to shape that glass in the palm of her hand. She'll use the jacks to squeeze in that jack line. This is a line that's going to allow us to break the ornament off the blowpipe. The smaller, the tighter that is, the easier that'll break free. So she'll squeeze that down, nice and tight. She's not going to squeeze it down all the way. If she squeezes down all the way, it'll close the bubble off. She won't be able to inflate it. And so she'll leave a small hole there so the air can escape and she can inflate the glass. Right now I can hear her tapping on that foot pedal. So they are inflating the glass.
More, and then we'll do a squishy.
With compressed air. So we're not blowing glass with the mask requirement. We are not blowing glass traditionally. We're still blowing glass, but it's with compressed air and a blow hose.
And what about squishy?
And it works pretty much the same way as blowing through the end of the pipe. You just have to step on a little foot pedal to introduce the air. Oh, this is fun. They're going to use a set of corks. It's cork, like you would cork a bottle or make a cork board with. And cork is nice to shape the glass because it won't scratch or cool the glass. So they're probably going to squeeze this bubble flat. So these clouds are sort of a flattened bubble. With a nice opaline white. There's a nice shot there. See the bubble getting bigger? It looks like it's magically getting bigger, but she is stepping on that foot pedal and introducing the air. So this is foot-blown glass, not to be confused with mouth-blown glass. Foot-blown glass.
Need a door?
All right. After we squish it, probably. Now.
You're good for now?
So she's got the corks. She's handed the pipe to Michael. Michael's going to get the bubble nice and hot. And then Andi is going to squeeze this bubble with the corks. You're going to see flames and smoke. It's a very distinct smell. You don't get to smell this on the show, Netflix, Blown Away, but here in the studio, you're going to be able to smell that cork, that burning cork smell. And she just squeezes that bubble nice and flat. See how it just glides along the glass? There's no other tool that she could get that much shaping done without scratching the glass or cooling it too much. So corks are really nice for sculpting glass. They do cap the end of the pipe. We want to trap the air inside. If she squeezed it without capping the pipe, the inside would want to cave in and touch in the middle and create sort of like a donut shape, which would be perfect if you wanted to make a donut.
Let's see where this goes.
But she wants to make a nice cloud. Yeah.
We'll just do
Any exercises for physical training to be a glassmaker? Well, certainly lifting weights doesn't hurt. You don't usually work with more glass than you can handle. Glassmakers they start small and work up to the larger stuff. And if you're making a large piece that you don't think you can handle, you hire some muscle to help you make a larger piece. There are glassmakers who are very good at working large, and you find one of those glassmakers and you say, "Can you help me?" All right, she's going to start to carve in the cloud shape. Watch this with a steel tool called a tagliole. So she's going to really squeeze in. Looks like it's a little cold. They're going to heat it up. Yeah. Okay, the question, how did you find out that cork would be a good tool? I'm assuming somebody just tried it once and they said, wow, this works. You can use any tool as long as it's not flammable. You can still use tools that are flammable, but you gotta use them real quick. Yeah, I'm assuming it happened naturally. Somebody tried it once and then eventually everyone was like, I'm gonna use a cork paddle, or Lino used a cork paddle, and then all the glassworkers would wanna use a cork paddle. That's usually how it goes. Lino did it this way, that's how I'm gonna do it. That's how you do it. But it's fun to work with different glass artists because you get to see how they work, and they all have their own specialties, so you'll learn something new every time you work with somebody. She's gonna get in there, and they've heated up the back spots now, so it should be easier to kind of carve into. So she's really gonna get in there and just push these cloud shapes in. It's hard because she is working with a bubble, so as she starts to kind of cut this in, it's going to affect the bubble shape. If she was going to make more than one of these, or like make a cloud not offhand like she's doing here, she might make a larger setup like she has at home to make her ornament. She might lay out the sheet of graphite with the pegs in it and press the bubble into that. But because this is just an offhand, free-form glass sculpting, she can carve into it with the tagliole and create this beautiful cloud shape without a mold. And this way it's unique, it's one of a kind. So
Maybe give it to me up and down this way so I can see both of them.
a nice, one of a kind.
See if that works.
I think it's going to be a happy cloud. She's going to draw a face on it. I'm assuming it's going to be a happy cloud. Could be a sad cloud. It could be a confused cloud. We'll have to wait and see. All right, we are live streaming this event. There was going to be another glassmaker, Kat Burns. She was going to join us, but she is not feeling well, so she's at home, and I think she's in the chat. So if you want to say hi to Kat or you want to chat with Kat, hop on in the chat, and you can
And I'll flatten it and
have a little chat with Kat. We're very upset that she couldn't make it in, but things happen, and when you don't feel well, you don't feel well. So we're going to hope for a speedy recovery.
It's definitely cloud like.
And I'm sure because she's
What I
local,
was thinking, but
she is local to Corning. She'll be back in the shop at some point.
that's good. Let's go with that.
It's not as hard. Andi Kovel is from Portland, Oregon, so it's a little harder for her to get to the shop here in Corning. Nao Yamamoto is out in LA now, and so it's a little hard for her to get to the shop here in Corning. Kat, it's just a short walk over the Chemung River to the museum, to the studio where she makes her work, and she can pop in anytime to see us. So that's the good news. Bad news is she's not here to blow glass. But she is at home with her beautiful collection of nutcrackers. All right, it's starting to look more like a cloud. They're getting all those indentations in.
You could also just get that from
Nao's
the side there.
busy in production.
There's like a Beck song. There's like happy clouds and rainbows. I was considering making it a happy cloud, but I don't know if they're gonna like it.
Try to be less thrilled about it.
They would be. Okay, yeah. This is all about food.
All right. So sculpting glass is a little different. You can't ever grab it with your hands. People ask us all the time, do you ever just want to get in there and grab it with your hands? Nope, can't say I have. Nope. Even if you did, let's say like, oh, you're doing stuff real quick and you're like, oh, I could. There is a heat barrier about a foot that would stop you way before you even got to the glass. So there wouldn't ever be any accidental, oh, I'm going to grab the glass. The metal pipe, yes, you might accidentally grab the hot metal pipe in the wrong spot. But that glass has a radiant heat barrier that would stop you way before you ever got close enough to touch the hot glass. All right, so we've got a beautiful cloud shape and about 20 minutes left, which is a good chunk of time for her to finish up this cloud, put a face on it.
One more flash.
Here at the museum,
One more time at the bottom.
Andi will be making glass this afternoon. So if you want to come back and check out, she'll be making some, what are you making this afternoon, Andi? Oh, cool. She's going to be making some,
Doing a little, I guess, referential redesigning.
yeah, awesome. Cool, nice. She's going to be doing some plexiglass inspired, some 60s plexiglass inspired pieces out of glass. So that should be very interesting. Come and check that out. I'm sure she'll be using some nice bright colors. I saw some little chunks over here. Maybe I can grab them. I think these might be. Yeah, another ornament in the oven. It's important that we get all the ornaments in the oven because they're all for sale and they are selling out quick. So you can check out the shops. You can check out. I think these might be some pieces. Are you going to be using pieces like this afternoon? You can see it almost looks like acrylic, little chunks of glass with nice bright colors.
I'm worried about how hot it is.
So they got a nice big cloud here. Now she's heating up these little rods of glass. I think she's going to start to draw on the face of this cloud ornament. Google. Yeah, so our question from home is, how do you find different studios in different states? And I would say go to the phone book, but there's no phone books anymore, and you have your online version of the phone book. You can just type in glass blowing shops in my area, or wherever you're going. If you're going to visit somewhere, I would say look up glass blowing shop, or glass artist, or hot shop. And if there is a shop that's public access so that you can visit, I'm sure they have a website or some sort of indication online, some sort of presence online. So there is the happy face. This looks like a happy cloud, nice big smile. She just draws on it. This is like using the hottest crayon or marker you've ever used in your life. Your hand gets really hot as you're drawing this on. There is no eraser. This is a permanent drawing. So it is very tricky. You want to make sure you get it on there right where you want it because there's no taking it off. She heats up the very end of this little rod. And see how it's glowing orange? It becomes hot and gooey. She can kind of swirl it, and then by pulling it to a fine thread and heating that up, the fine thread will just whip right off. And there is one little eye. Nice. There is a little bit on there. She'll just scrape that off. We don't want to heat it. If we get anything on there that we don't want on there and it's just kind of tacky on there, we can tap it off before we heat it. If you heat it back up, that little spot would have melted in and become permanent. So she just kind of tap and scrape that off.
We're going to put the hook where this jack line is, so we'll break it up. Yeah, something to stand it on while we do that. Okay.
All right, so they're going to press the little eye in. They're going to add another eye. She's going to sit down at the bench this time. She'll use that MAC gas to heat the end of the rod of glass. That's a cane, just like she used earlier. This is a solid color cane. This is not the cane that has the white or the clear over top, leaving the spacing. This is just pure color cane, perfect for drawing on the glass. So you're definitely going to want to check out these little cloud ornaments. Are very unique. I've never seen anything like them anywhere. And you're definitely going to want to check those out in the shops today or online at Corning Museum shops. And you can find these beautiful little handmade cloud ornaments. They make great gifts. And rainbows. She made some rainbows in the oven earlier, and they're also on the shelves today and online. And there's our happy cloud. What do you think? Awesome. So this is a large ornament, so they're going to put a hook on the top. So they have to break it free, and then they'll attach a nice little hook. So this is a much larger version than the little clouds she has in the shops. So the little clouds in the shops are a little more ornament size. So If you're looking for that perfect gift and you know someone that loves clouds or loves Andi's work, this would be a perfect gift. Or one of those little rainbows. And if you're interested in following the Corning Museum shops, as well as Andi Kovel, there's Esk Studio, that's her social media handle, and Nao YMMT, Yamamoto. You can find the ladies on the social media, and you can also find us, Corning Museum shops. If you're interested in glass and what we sell here at the museum, that's the best place to see our product drops. So they're going to post any product drops that we have. And it has been the case that a product drops online on social media and then the next day it's sold out. So if you're interested in anything you see, get in there and check that out, because you can shop from home. You can shop from anywhere nowadays and things do sell out quick. So check us out online and here at the museum if you're local. And Kat Burns is not here with us today, but she did make lots of ornaments for sale. So you can also pick up some of Kat's work as well on the website and here at the museum locally. So even though she is at home today, you can still find her work. There goes a little ornament. You can buy one of those. You can take one of those home. They are beautiful with a pearlescent sheen. All right, here we go. Yay! Product in the oven.
Tom, can you help us for a second? Yeah, I think we're
This is production day. We're making lots of ornaments.
I guess you'll kind of hold it
For
just standing up
sale.
and down, and then Michael will bring me a bit, and I will cut it and
It's
put it
become
on.
a nice trend to buy local handmade.
You can start.
A lot of these artists make their own work to sell, and so if you're into that this year, support your local artists. Support these artists. Support any artists. If you have the means and you are able, the artists will be
I'll take one
very
flash and then we'll go.
happy.
And I don't need the bit too hot. Colder's better.
Up in the West Bridge, so if you kind of head up the stairs here out of the theater and take a right, we do have our Blown Away exhibit on display still. So from season 2, Nao and Andi have a piece in that exhibit from their time on season 2, Blown Away. And so you can check that, it's on display now, and get some pictures with that and see the work in person. It looks like it's still a little gooey. See how they're kind of shaking it and it pops right off. A beautiful piece. Now they're gonna add the hook. Michael has the hot blob of glass. They're gonna stick the hot blob of glass on the top. Bigger ornament calls for a bigger hook. So they drip that on there, covering the hole. She's going to stretch it up, cut it free. And then she'll take these tweezers and kind of start to curl it and bend it. This will be a nice, thick, sturdy hook for the top of this beautiful cloud ornament. Look at that nice, sturdy hook. Now the hook's still gonna be warm, so they're not gonna grab it like Nao has been with the ornament hooks, because the hook will stretch out. Because it's got so much mass and thickness to it, it's still gonna be a little hot. So Tom's probably gonna grab a hold of it with the gloves. This is a functioning hook. You will be able to hang it from the hook, but for now, Tom's going to grab it as that hook cools with the gloves, and then get this into our slow cooling oven for safekeeping and slow cooling. Into the oven, a happy cloud. Andi Kovel, everyone. Any questions for Andi or Nao before we end our live stream? No? Well, come on down. I'm sure there's a meet and greet with the artists later today. Andi will be demonstrating here at the museum for those of you who are joining us here at the museum. A beautiful job. Nao and Andi, once competitors, now friends, and they live happy together. They are no longer competing for a spot. They are Corning's favorite glassmakers. You are both, yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, come anytime. You are both best in blow today. All right, well, thank you for visiting us here at the museum. Thanks for visiting us online. Hit the shops online and here at the museum. Take home a beautiful handmade ornament and enjoy the rest of your day here at the Corning Museum of Glass. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in online. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.